バーテンダーという言葉の意味をご存知ですか？バーは泊まりに、テンダーは優しい、優しい泊まりにという意味です。バーにテンダー、優しさが生まれる。
What the hell is this guy yapping about? Hello and welcome to another review video. This time around I'll be looking at the bartending units. Wait, sorry, the Mixologist units from the Chalice of the Ages and the Divine Droplets direct machine. Whatever. I'm still gonna call them bartenders. This machine has a total of 22 bartending units, plus Kurotobi in its lineup, and it's 10 magic stones per bowl. I would say that it's a good idea to roll here, since most of the units are pretty solid, especially if you have some of these leaders. Although there might not be that much upside in rolling a lot in this machine. A lot of the units are good one-offs in their base form, but a bunch of the equips here aren't all that great. There are some solid ones, but a bunch of them lack team HP and have lackluster actives and awakenings. Let me look into the units one by one, and let's see if you agree with this general assessment. Please remember to drop a like if you enjoyed these videos, and I would especially appreciate it if you subscribe, as this channel is nearing 1000 subs. This collab introduces the new Aging Awakening. This awakening boosts a unit's attack, HP, and recovery by a 1.5 multiplier on and after floor 5, and this boost goes up to 2 times on and after floor 10. Many of the units here can have an Aging and Moon Awakening, so they'll have insanely high stats past floor 10 in Moon dungeons, especially HP, since many of the units in this realm have over 10k base HP. A few of the units here also have a pretty high RCB stat, and they can bring a significant amount of healing even with only 1 heal TPA plus awakening. Usually I try to go from worst to best units as the video progresses, but this time I'll group similar units or those that might work well in certain teams. I didn't have much breathing room since my last video, so forgive me if I'm moving too fast. I'm trying to be brief and go over these 23 units. I also didn't want to repeat myself that much, so please keep in mind my general assessment for these units. Good base form, forgettable equip, 1 copy is probably enough, so if I gloss over an equip, you'll know why. Let me start things off with Winely. She doesn't really stand out in any way, no damage, no utility, and has a mediocre active skill. I guess she's meant to go in a Gotrek team, but those teams don't have any use for her orb generation. The other active skill effects are easily replaceable by other recent units, and these would be redundant in an optimal Gotrek team since they run poof and he counters the same debuffs. Winely's first equip is nothing special either. Her second equip is a bit more interesting since it's a true 30% gravity and has 2 combo orbs, but this is not something you'll want in a team except for very specific farming ones. Mawjito doesn't really have a home. Green BDP teams aren't that strong, but they'll soon get support from upcoming events, so he's going to face some pretty stiff competition. Mawjito does have a pretty good damage multiplier, but he's unable to fully take advantage of this since he doesn't have a damage cap breaking active. The Bartender's REM does bring a lot of units who do break other units' damage caps, so given enough support, he might not be that bad. Even then, I struggle to find where you would bring this unit. Their equip isn't that special, except on a green BDP unit with a non-green sub-attribute. It does give you 4 effective skill boosts, but it provides no bulk. Melorum and Lemocks both have really high damage multipliers if you enter a moon dungeon and match their respective shapes. They can take advantage of their damage multiplier with their damage cap breaking active, but I'm not a fan of the inconsistent orb regeneration as you only get 7 orbs, and you will need to make 2 combos where one should at least be a 5-orb match, so you could be an orb short. They both have a pretty good leader skill, as they give you a decent amount of bonus combos and effective HP. Unfortunately, I can't think of many good pairing options for them since they'll need someone with follow-up attack. Samurai Rokku is made for New Year Norris teams. There is a lot of UN2 and alt UN2 New Year Norris teams out there. Rokku won't really open new doors for New Year Norris, but more options is always better. Rokku's equip is seemingly great for New Year Norris as well, but nowadays you need units with auto-heal active skills, so those auto-heal awakenings are mostly a thing of the past. Ideal does have a really high damage multiplier and isn't a bad rainbow unit. Unfortunately, she doesn't really stand out. Her active skill cooldown is way too long to be relied on for its board change, and the RCB and time debuffs could be covered by different units with shorter cooldowns and possibly more utility. Sure, the active skill does give you a 2-turn void damage absorption active, but for that 7-turn cooldown, you could instead run one of the many units that have a 2-turn void damage and attribute absorption active. Her equip is a bit of an upgrade from Kaizo's equip, who also has 5 effective skill boosts but no team HP. Kaito was free though, and Ideal has a 70 magic stone price tag since she's exchangeable for 7 bartending units. So while her equip is marginally better, it's hard to compete with free. I'd be hard pressed to feel like trading for her, and probably would only do so if I really value her equip. I'm pretty sure this is the third time Kurotobi is obtainable, so if you've been around, you might already have a few copies and might feel less excited to see him pop out of this REM, especially if you already have 2 or more copies of him, since he didn't get any buffs and his equip isn't all that amazing. Still, he's a solid pull if you have none, and not a bad pairing for his bartender counterpart. Bacchus is the orb skin unit for this REM, and I don't think he's worth the $20. His base form is a green BDP unit, but has an inconsistent orb generation active that you could make a system with 3 copies. I guess you could use him with a 7x6 board to increase the chances of getting a green BDP, and maybe that's gonna be a decent green BDP team, but it'll soon get power creep with the arrival of the illusionary Ares DC, so I don't see the need to chase or buy one Bacchus, let alone chase for 2 or more copies of him, even though his first equip is really solid, so maybe I could understand the temptation. This is the first Sensi equip with a 5-turn delay and 2 team HPs, but the green sub-attribute change might not be all that desirable for most teams. The second equip isn't that good honestly, only 3 skill boosts with no team HP might not cut it for most endgame dungeons, and again, that green sub-attribute awakening might be undesirable. Umemaro is a red BDP cleric with a high damage multiplier. Usually you want your clerics to focus in utility, so if you do run Umemaro, you'll want to have someone else cover those bases. On release he might not see that much use, but he will work really well in Lyle teams, regardless of the lack of utility awakenings on Umemaro. The only complaint I have with this unit is the lack of damage cap break active, so that he can fully take advantage of his high damage multiplier. But overall, he's a damage-dealing cleric capable of countering board shrinks and negative orbs. His equip is forgettable, but there's a minor chance this could be used in a specific ranking dungeon. Odin is another great Lyle sub. He has a desirable active skill and also break other units' damage caps. Odin is simply a great red BDP unit, and he's also exchangeable, but his trade fodder consists of only 7-star GFEs, so that trade will be costly. If you don't manage to roll him, it might not be a bad trade if you plan on getting Lyle, who's a new illusionary Ares that will be exchangeable for 20 copies of Pantheons, GFEs, or other illusionary Ares. La Diabla is Gokura's best pairing, as she can heal an insane amount and gives you a much needed RCP boost with her leader skill. She also covers the cleric role in that team and also gives you a solution to time debuffs. She doesn't have to be confined to only Gokura's teams if you're looking for a good heal stick, since on or after floor 5, she's the unit with the highest healing potential in the game, and this is undisputed in Moon dungeons. But her roulette might not be that desirable in non-Gokura's teams. La Diabla doesn't just excel at healing, she has some damage potential in Moon dungeons too. Her equip is pretty solid. It's similar to Whiny's, but this one has a skill boost and a poison blessing. That last awakening could go either way. It's not the worst in Pito and Gokura's teams, but most other teams probably won't like this. Bludka is a decent utility sub, but because of his active, you might be unable to make space for him in a team. If you manage to fit him in, he can be of great help at countering a lot of debuffs and help you tank really big hits, like at the UN6 boss. Whiskeel is a skill boost stick with decent dark BDP damage. His active also tackles RCB debuffs and gives you a special looping spinner, and he's also a dragon, so he works really well with Goten. If for some reason you can't or don't want to run Light Miku, Whiskeel is one of the few units in this REM that has 2 equips, but neither of them are all that amazing. I do like the second one a little bit more due to the full blind and jammer resist, and the 3-turn delay could be useful at the beginning of dungeons. Baddie is a great rainbow unit, and they work really great in Akasa and Jin and Tonik teams, and with their active skill, you'll be able to tackle board shrinks and targeted attack debuffs. Not to mention that you also get a rainbow board. A lot of teams that I see with Baddie usually run more than 1 copy, and thankfully Baddie is also exchangeable, but just like with Odin, you're only able to use 7-star GFEs as trade fodder, and if you do decide to run multiple copies of him, be aware that he doesn't have any skill bind resist, so you'll have to keep that in mind when team building. Baddie's equip has a pretty good mix of awakening, and also has a somewhat useful active skill to help you stall at the beginning of dungeons. Pretty solid overall. Bartender Kurotobi, Mixologist Kurotobi, is the BGM unit for this REM. He's pretty strong in Moon dungeons, but that comes at the cost of a really high cooldown transformation active. With that leader skill and active, he works well with rainbow teams, or is able to pair with his regular counterpart. In both of those teams, you usually have 2 Bartender Kurotobis, so that you can loop the plus combo and pierce active skill, while having 1 Bartender Kurotobi damage cap broken at all times. While Bartender Kurotobi is considered a really strong leader, I don't think I've seen him being used that that much as of late. His equip is really solid too. He has a lot of bulk and 4 effective skill boosts. Not to mention that the Dragon type Awakening can make it so that you can fit non-Dragon units in Goten or Remra trio teams. Also, the Pierce and +5 combos effect lasts for a really long time, so this equip could work really well in various different situations, like in dungeons where there's a lot of back-to-back spawns with void damage shields, or you could activate this early in UN6 to get your team going and use the plus combo effect to beast through Lucifer's stats. It might not be the worst idea to buy this bundle for the equip alone, but $30 is a lot for just an equip. Rawberrille is an amazing support unit as she can do a ridiculous amount of healing and help recover assists. Her active skill is also amazing as it covers many useful counters to popular dungeon hazards. The only possible downside is that the void damage and attribute absorption effect only lasts for 1 turn, and that might not be enough for some enemies. She has a double resist equip like a few of the other units in this REM. As I said, I tend to value full blind and jammer resist more than others, so I think this one is slightly better than the other 2 double resist equips. Tonik is a great full cleric that raises all of your subs damage cap to 5 billion for 1 turn. Not only that, but she's also a pretty decent damage dealer, and with her TPAs, she's also able to recover a few turns of unmatchable orbs without using her really low cooldown active. She also serves as a great rainbow leader. She's often paired with Akasa since she's devil type, gives a much needed amount of bonus combos, and her fake smooth time leader skill allows you to ignore time debuffs. Tonik has a 10C equip, but it wouldn't be my first option since it lacks any effective skill boost or team HP, and also because I don't really value move time awakenings. 3 of these are a significant amount, so not the worst option if you need more move time. Daiginjou is an amazing looping shield unit capable of dealing a lot of damage in blue PvP teams. The prime example being Mawjito teams, since this unit is on color on both main attribute and sub attribute. They don't need to be pigeonholed into blue teams. If you change his sub attribute to light, he can work really well in 7x6 Nova teams, since you'll probably have enough orbs to match a blue and light PvP. And not to mention that Daiginjou has a 7x6 leader skill, so he's one of the best units to use to get the extended board. Daiginjou's active skill also handles board drinks, which is life-saving in teams like Mawjito since that allows Mawjito to generate hearts again. Their first equip could turn a low cooldown unit into a looping shield, and if they happen to have a high damage multiplier, they could take advantage of the 8 billion damage cap break too. Daiginjou's second equip is pretty decent. There's a bunch of 2 team HP, 2 team RCB equips out there, and this is the only other one with the 4-turn delay. It's also the only equip with the full poison resist or a dragon type awakening, so again, think Goten or Remra trio teams. Haibol is an amazing light PvP unit for Nova teams due to her active skill and damage potential. She also works well as a mirror pairing for Nova if you don't want to run the 7x6 Beerdon version. Her active skill voids damage and attribute absorption for 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown, which is shorter than the usual active skill of this kind, but again, maybe sometimes you'll need more than 1 turn. The active skill also generates light orbs, but it's not reliable enough since it's on a 3-turn cooldown and most likely won't generate enough orbs to activate Nova's leader skill. But overall, she's one of the best absorption void subs for Nova teams. Her equip isn't that great though. The active skill could be good for pure HP multiplier teams, but those have fallen out of fashion with the rise of gravity attacks. At best, it's a slight damage boost for light and water damage, but you could always cover those OE awakenings with equips that have much more useful awakenings. Beerdon is a good pair for Nova teams and also allows you to close the orb generation system with 2 Novas. Since Beerdon has a low cooldown active and doesn't transform, you can put a lead swap equip on him and run your Nova team on a 7x6 board. The void RCB effect on his active skill is a bit scary, but it doesn't matter. You'll be relying on Nova's 35% HP auto heal, and realistically, you won't be matching any horrors since Beerdon can override those and Nova's active skill doesn't generate them. Beerdon's first equip is bad. While it would be nice to auto-heal for more in Nova teams, since 35% auto-heal is a bit low, a 6k HP auto-heal won't be making much difference. The 4 effective skill boosts are nice, but the equip doesn't offer much else and can be easily replaced. Beerdon's second equip is slightly better if you need a dragon type equip with team HPs. The 80% shield could help you somewhat stall at the start of dungeons, so this could have some uses. If anything, this is a downgrade from Kureha's equip, but you might not have this in your monster box. Kahlou and Mylk is a great support unit that has a good mix of utility awakenings. Her low cooldown 2-turn damage and attribute absorb void active skill is great if you don't mind the board change, and the plus combo effect can give you an easier time with Lucifer's Puzzle or the Echidna Floor in UN6. Her board change also seems like it might be useful for the upcoming and new Shiranaki from My Hero Academia, but he doesn't really need her ore generation. Kahlou's equip is not the worst, but could be a lot better. It is one of the few equips with a 4-turn void damage and attribute absorption effects, but unlike Goten's or Valentine Lisette's equips, it only offers one effective skill boost. If you don't care about the active, then the equip awakenings aren't all that attractive. Graciss is one of the key subs for bartending Tuoka teams. She's able to close the orb generation system loop with Daki from Demon Slayer, and she also packs a punch, and can take advantage of her high damage multiplier with her self-attack boost and damage cap break active skill. While you only need one to run in a beat Tuoka team, if you have no Dakis, you could run 2 Graciss as your orb generators, but you run the chance of being unable to activate beat Tuokas or Graciss leader skill damage reduction if your enemy floods your board with a lot of heal, wood, or dark orbs. Graciss will also work well in DC teams, so she's overall a great asset for dark and wood teams. Bartending Tuoka is arguably the strongest leader from this machine, and she's also pretty accessible since she's exchangeable for 7 bartending units, so she comes at a price of 70 magic stones. If you have 2 Dakis of your own, you could pair with a Friendly Tuoka and skip rolling, but Graciss is a crucial sub, so I try to at least pick one up if you want to play with this team. It's pretty straightforward. She's a great leader. She's got an easy leader skill activation, a comfortable amount of fixed move time, lots of bonus combos, and follow-up attack. She could have been better if she had an HP multiplier on her leader skill, since her best pair, Daki, is all damage reduction as well. This is not much of an issue right now, since she's generally able to tank the biggest HP check in the game so far, with the help of Daki's 2-turn shield, but this could be an issue down the line. Tuoka's equip is okay, but a bit forgettable, especially so because of the auto-heal awakenings. The rest of the awakenings are solid though, and this is the only double TPA equip with a full blind resist awakening. So as it is with the other bartending units, Tuoka is mainly a good one-off, so I wouldn't stress about chasing dupes or exchanging more than one. Okay, to recap, many of the units here can be used in a bunch of teams, either now or in the near future. So I do feel like it's a good idea to at least do some rolls here, but maybe not that many since there's not much to value here. This is an in-house REM, so it will come back maybe multiple times a year, or some bartenders might show up in Super Gadfest and get some buffs. These buffs might be minimal or insignificant, so I do understand any hesitation, especially if these current units don't catch your eye. I am currently not saving for a specific upcoming REM. My Hero Academia looks bad. Illusionary RS will be a pain since there's a lot of pantheons in that machine, but it might be worth it to those that want Lyle or Dizzy. Academy looks bad as well. Gundam would be a great REM to roll in, but NA is not getting that, and we still have no details on the Slime collab, and who knows if NA will even get it. There's also a chance of another REM or in-house occurring in between Gundam, which ends on May 6, and Slime, which starts on May 24. So if you want to gain more information, maybe wait a week and see if anything gets announced for that time gap. So to me, the only REM worth rolling a significant amount now or in the near future is Bartenders. And maybe I'll roll a bit in Illusionary RS or the Valentine Super Gadfest with Goten and Nova at 3%. But what are your plans? Are you rolling Bartenders or do you plan to save up? Let me know in the comments below, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time and wish you the best of luck if you decide to roll. Goodbye.